the how in just a moment, but I need to bring in Ms. Naramodukwe, the presidential candidate of Alliance for a United Nigeria. Well, it appears as though the PDP also has a plan to unite Nigeria, not just Alliance for United Nigeria. Could you then tell us from your plan and program, why or what do you, tell us about the how now in terms of your job creation strategy for the country?
Before I react to that, Chamberlain, I'd like to correct an impression that the election is between PDP and APC. The election is between Nigerians and their hungry stomach. The election is between Nigerians and bad roads, bad healthcare, our education system, okay? Now, I have told you in the past that I have a theory, okay? And I'm going to use the Nigerian women to achieve this, the Nigerian young people to achieve this. There are 25 million disabled but able Nigerians. Nobody is giving them opportunity in this country. They don't even have parking space. They don't have public buildings that can, they can easily get into and get out of. But these people are geniuses. They have so much to offer this country. And I'm bringing them to the table. I'm telling you about the non-formal sector that has not been exploited in any way in this country. And that is what I want to use. I am talking about tourism. There are countries that don't have oil, but they are doing very well. There are countries that live on tourism. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking tourism. I'm talking our food, our culture, our clothing, our energy. Nigerians are very hardworking people. I'm talking about the natural resources in this country. Out of the 106 elements on the planet, 56 are in abundance in this country. I'm talking about the use of steel, the use of iron, the agricultural sector, the fishing industry in Nigeria. Nobody is looking at that. These are income generating. And if we are consuming what we are producing, we're not going to have issues with this exchange rate of a thing. And then I have to agree with Mr. Chidoka on the export theory. It is something that we're very concerned about. We need to start exporting all the good stuff that we have in this country. And it has to be done with a lot of ease. It has to be encouraged. A lot of people have energy, they have ideas, they have properties, they have natural resources they want to put out there. Even locally, it is so difficult to put out these things. And in AUN, we are prepared to do that. Nigerians that want something new, that want something fresh, that want energy, vote for AUN. Vote for something new. There are 25 million disabled people in Nigeria. If you all vote for us, we're going to win. Nobody has won an election with more than 15 million votes in this country. I'm calling on the Nigerian youth, on the Nigerian women. Come out. If you're upset with the roads, if you know you don't have jobs, vote for AUN, because we have a theory that at 15, you must have a training so that by 18, if you're ready to get married, you will marry another 18-year-old who has skills, and both of you can create jobs and feed your family. You don't have to wait for any government that is not prepared to give you any job anyways.
Okay, let me get the thoughts of Professor. Professor, you have heard her railed out a couple of things that she intends to do in her own blueprint. Meanwhile, Osita has really castigated your party to a large extent and made some claims that the PDP has been able to achieve. He talked about the ECA, which he says was created by the PDP, which he says that you have plundered. How do you respond to that?
Chidoka is somehow trying to be economical with the truth. He knows what they left in the in our external reserve, but he was trying to make some. This is their kind of style. We have seen it in the vice presidential debate. After the debate, most of the data they roll out that were found out to be untrue. And the same thing, he's referring to the port. He knows the reform that is going on. His presidential candidate was part of the cabal that held that place through Intel, and he knows what is happening. They have not been remitting what they were collecting on behalf of the government, the revenue. And these are the kind of things. He failed to answer some of the issues I raised, the issue of even his party lying to Nigerians that they are going to bring out 50 million Nigerians out of extreme poverty that has never been done in the history of humankind. And these are the kind of things, the lies they did. Now, if you ask Nigerians, the 16 years of PDP, he knows, even him, left the PDP to UPP because he doesn't believe in the PDP. It's now that he's now coming back. I asked Chidoka if he's a true Nigerian and he believes in Nigerian. I have seen him where he was supporting the IPOP. This, we all know those kind of things. And this is the same people where he knows what this government has done, even to the police, the Biafran police, they paid them. And the NITEL, I asked him question, 800 Nigerian Airways, rather, the 8,500 people that his government sold out that, unbundled that entity, they could not even settle the people. Is this government that came and settled the people? This is what they are running away from. This is why they are deceiving Nigerians.
Let me come in again.
The whole thing, I asked him to tell me.
You talk about 50 million people out of poverty, which the PDP says that it will do when it comes to power. And you said that that has not been in existence in human history before. But in China, the Chinese government have succeeded in getting much more than 50 million people out of poverty. So why do you think it's not possible in Nigeria?
Extreme poverty, there is a check. Do the checks. Do the checks. Do you get my point? No government has ever taken people in 2 years. This is what they said. In 2 years, they will take people out of extreme poverty in 2 years. Let him tell us how he's going to achieve that.
Mr. Chidoka, please, could you respond? He says that you cannot get 50 million people out of poverty within 2 years, and that's what your party is promising Nigerians that it will do.
You see, the problem is with the APC is that it is alliance of non-progressives. You know, their mind is closed. They live in the past. The world has changed phenomenally. That today, in just 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the richest person in the world used to be the Queen. She used to worth about $5 billion some years back. But today, the man that is the richest man in the world, you know, has no building. None of the assets that makes him the richest man in the world contains a building. When you look at Bill Gates today, he's a rich man because of his brain. The incapacity of the APC to understand that the world has changed and the dynamics of growth in the world is now being propelled by intellectual knowledge, by ability to give people education, by ability to give them the tools of lifting themselves out of poverty, is what is making them, because they remain in the old economy. The president cannot understand the new economy. He's a cattle rearer and he's still thinking of how many years it will take you to grow the cattle. But we're now thinking of call centers. We're now thinking of young men writing codes. We're now thinking of teaching people within 1 year to become people working for companies abroad. We're thinking of different possibilities of making sure that people in extreme poverty come out of extreme poverty to a level where they can become useful contributors to the economy. So when he says it hasn't been done anywhere else in the world, where in the world has a country, within the last 10 years, Dubai has become the biggest airport in the world? Which country did it take 10 years to have 60 million people going through its airport? Which country in the world has done what the Dubai economy has done in the last 25 years? So what he's saying is that we cannot go back to the failed models of the past. We are, as PDP, running with experience of governance, learning from the mistakes of the past, learning from what we have done right. We know what it will mean to unleash the potentials of the Nigerian economy.
Mr. Chidoka.
But having said that, I want to also point out.
Yeah, just a minute before you point that out, but I'd like to just state here to everyone, look, we need to just stay on the issues. There's no point going personal on individuals. Let's address what the issues are before we wrap up in the next couple of minutes. But could you tell us about the how? I think that's what the question was. Tell us about how your party intends to bring those amount of people out of poverty.
So because that's how I've just said. I've told you how. I've told you the possibilities that are available in today's world. That we cannot continue to look at the examples of yesterday and believe that we should grow in the same sequential orders of yesterday. So what we have today is that we have a party in office that has not adopted a philosophy of governance, does not have a philosopher, a thinker. I wish they had taken the professor to be the economic advisor to tell them what philosophy of economy do you want to run? Running the economy by mounting 16 years of PDP isn't going to grow this economy. They need to move away from that. They need to go into telling us, in 3.5 years, what is the roadmap? The Sovereign Wealth Fund that they saw $1 billion in, that they have given the $650 million for the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, was created by the PDP. All the APC governors
what I'm trying to ask
the creation
you,
of the Sovereign Wealth Fund.
Mr. Osita, perhaps let me just clarify this a little bit further, just so that we're on the same page. When China took much more than 50 million people out of poverty, it had a collaboration with the provinces. They have what they call provinces there. The richer provinces invested in the non-rich province and was able to help those in the non-rich province to get out of poverty. That's the example that we had from China. What is the PDP's plan to get people out of poverty? Is there a blueprint?
If you look at Nigeria today, all the successful states in terms of the ranking of the WAEC exams, in terms of GDP per capita, are PDP states in Nigeria. So if you look at the number, the top 10 states that are in, most of them are PDP states by WAEC results, the Southeast states. First of all, we want the country to adopt what has it that we have gotten right in the Southeast that has led to these high returns in WAEC. We're going to make the other provinces put a sunset clause to provide education for Nigerians. Educationally disadvantaged is not a status. It is a snapshot in point in time. We need to put a sunset clause to say that by the year 2025 or 2030, all the states in Nigeria will come out of educational disadvantage. And we have lessons to learn from the states that are successful. If you look at the states like Anambra State with the highest GDP, one of the highest GDP per capita, or Lagos State, the state with the highest income in terms of entire generated revenue, we need to let other states in Nigeria learn from this. If you look at the case of Delta State, Rivers, and Akwa Ibom, who have been drawn by their oil wealth, we need them to invest in the agricultural sector of Nigeria up north, just like Lagos State is doing with Sokoto, I think, with Kebbi State.
Just hang on. We need to move on to this other matter before we wrap up. Let me go to Prof on this one. Speaking about education, as at the time we had, I think it was about 10.5 million children who were out of school. The stats there said 69% of them were from the north. But now, according to UBEC, it's about 13.2 million children who are out of school. What is your party's plan? How would your party address this challenge?
You have seen, even through the school feeding program, how the enrollment is coming back, where pupils are going to school now more than before. Chidoka made mention of something right now. He contradicted himself by saying the states that are doing good are PDP states. Now he mentioned Lagos. He mentioned Anambra State. He mentioned the collaboration between Kebbi and Lagos State. You see, sometimes this is why I said PDP want to use, to sing to Nigerians what they have not done in 16 years. They have not done the Dubai he was mentioning. Even the issue of the education is as a result of the kind of foundation that PDP established in the 16 years. And now this government came 2-3 years. Let me just refer you. The first budget was 2015 budget, was PDP budget. Then the 2016 and 2017 budget. You know what happened even in the National Assembly? The issue of the budget and how the budget was passed eventually. So this government that came in 2-3 years, now he's referring to that this government has not done anything. Now he's a self-confessed man that, yes, in some states they are coming up, and he referred to the Anchor Borrowers scheme. He knows what is happening. You have seen even the issue of power. Yesterday, Zamfara, some people protested that they don't want the energy during the daytime because they are paying higher because there is power. In Borno State, similar thing happened. It has never happened under the PDP, where some people will come, despite the fact they spend more.
All right, Prof, just a minute. We need to bring in the presidential candidate. Could you tell us your party's plan to address or get the students, the children, back to school?
We have a 3-point agenda for that. and we're going to be using the informal, the non-formal, and the formal forms of educating our young people. There are people that just can't get formal education immediately because the infrastructures are not there. And while we have a plan for the 200 million unborn Nigerians, the ones on ground where we intend to train formally, informally, and non-formally. That is why I told you earlier on that we have a plan that at 15 years, you must have a skill. You must be able to do something and perfect it by the time you're 18, so that if you decide to get married, you would be married and another 18-year-old who is properly trained. And both of you can generate your own living and prepare for your incoming unborn generations as well. The issue of creating of jobs, it has to come from within. It has to become personal. And we intend to create environment for people to bring in their ideas, and then, because the world is changing, bring in their ideas and prosper their ideas.
All right, we need to move to Mr. Chidoka now, just because, I mean, we've lost so much time. We need to wrap up. Mr. Chidoka, quickly, how do you plan to get 13.2 million children back to school?
Yes, like I said, educational disadvantage is not a status. We're not going to accept it under the PDP. We have learned from experience. We had, when we had the education reforms in Nigeria, we had the national stakeholders meeting. We had, under President Obasanjo, under Obi Ezekwesili, rolled out a plan on how to reform our education system. Now, we will continue where we stopped with that plan, because at the time we left the plan, like you rightly pointed out, since we left it, the number of children out of school has grown. But the point is that it is not a status. We are going to make sure that we learn from the states that work. Abia State is now #1 in terms of WAEC in Nigeria. And what is it that they have gotten right? And what can other states learn from it? We have to create dialogue. We have to create sharing experiences for people to see what has worked, and not to remain and keep saying we're educational disadvantage, therefore we should get lower marks. No. What we need in Nigeria today is to unleash that energy by making sure that there's a sunset period, which all the states in Nigeria must meet minimum standards. PDP, as a party, you know, is totally in support of enabling the economy, which is why I cited examples of what is going on in Abia, in Rivers, in Delta, and also cited example of what is going on in Lagos. The idea I'm putting about is that we are a party that is a government, a responsible government. APC still behaves like an opposition party. We need to cut across this opposition mentality and see to it that we talk about the Nigerian.
All right,
Nigerians, are you better today than you were 4 years ago?
Well, Anchor, at that point,
Nigerians will have to keep answering.
Mr. Osija Chidoka is the presidential campaign spokesperson for the PDP, and sitting right beside him is Nana Modukwe, who is the presidential candidate for Alliance for a United Nigeria, and also sitting beside her is Professor Usiju Medaner, who is a member of the APC. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today on the program. We're back in a moment. Join us again.